Hi, this is the video for Daf Nun Bet of Masechet Ketubot, and on the second side of this daf, we are dealing with one of my favorite aspects of the Ketubah that I find very interesting. It is called the Ketubot Benin Dichrin, the Ketubah for male sons. I want to explain it, but I also want to give you a little heads up. I just wrote up a whole chapter for a future second volume to my book called Reconstructing the Talmud. If you don't have that book, the first volume was published about a year and a half ago, and I highly encourage you to buy it. It's a great book. I don't make any profit. I'm not saying this because I want to make money. I'm saying this because you know me, when I write something, when I teach something, I want people to use it. That's one of my goals. Getting back to a Benin Dichrin, this is what the idea of this ketubah clause is. Remember, we're in this section of the chapter that deals with all sorts of clauses that are written in the ketubah that a husband has to guarantee to his wife, even if they don't actually write them in the ketubah. What's very interesting is all of these things are not purely Jewish. They are found, or for the most part, they are found in other marriage contracts all over the ancient Near East, including versions of them that go all the way back to the Code of Hammurabi, which is about 2,000 or so years older than the Mishnah. So the Ketubah Benin Dichrin works this way. It has to do with a dowry. A father gives his daughter a dowry, and we know from Talmudic sources that the dowry could be quite substantial. Now, the father generously, and we want a father to generously give his daughter a dowry to enrich the family. Sons would want it, the daughters would want it. It really is in everyone's best interests. The problem is that what does the father want? He wants his daughter's children to make use of that dowry. Right? He wants his daughter and then her to pass it on in inheritance. However, Jewish inheritance law states that if the mother dies first, a wife dies first, her husband inherits her. Now, okay, so she dies first. Then her husband inherits her. Now, if he has children from another wife, either one that he had at the same time as the first wife or a subsequent wife, they will inherit the dowry that the husband inherited from his wife. So in other words, if Leah gets a good dowry and she dies and Reuven inherits from her, Reuven might give that dowry through his inheritance to Rachel's daughters, and Leah does not, and Leah's father especially does not want Rachel's daughters, to whom he's not related, to get the dowry. So what happens here? There is a guarantee in this ketubah, in the ketubah, that should the wife die first, the husband will inherit the ketubah, but then when he dies, his sons through that wife will receive preferential treatment, preferential inheritance of the ketubah. So imagine, we'll take Yaakov dies, he gave a huge ketubah to Rachel and a very tiny ketubah to Leah. We know this from the biblical story, right? So let's say Leah got 100, or let's say 200, a minimal ketubah, and Rachel got 1,000. And each of them had two sons. And let's just imagine, for simplicity's sake, that that's basically the entire inheritance. Let's say it's 1,400. So again, 200 from the ketubah to Leah, 1,000 from the ketubah, or I should say dowry, from Rachel, and then 200 from his own estate that's not connected to any dowry. Should he die, should both those women die and then he inherit, if all the inheritance is divided equally, you'll have four sons dividing 1,400 dinars, which means that everybody divides everything equally. However, if each woman has two sons and Rachel's children inherit her dowry first, the first thing they'll do is take out 1,000. Then Leah's sons will take out 200, each getting 100. You can see the imbalance here. Rachel's sons have 500, Leah's sons have 100, and then the extra 200 will be divided equally, each of them taking 50. So Rachel's sons will get 550 and Leah's sons will get 150. You say that's unfair, and it is unfair. The issue is that Rachel's father gave her a much more generous dowry than Leah's father did. I'm assuming here that they're not sisters, right? And the father wants to make sure that his grandsons, not Leah's sons, to whom he's not biologically biologically related receive her dowry. This is a very important social institution. Dowry, wedding payments were a real important part of the social fabric. And of course, people wanted to make sure that their wealth, as they do today, they wanted to make sure that their wealth stayed in their family. Since the Jewish laws of inheritance only go through the father, this is in a sense a corrective to make sure that sons can indeed inherit their mother, or at least the mother's wealth that she accrued from her family, namely the dowry. If you have more questions about it, you can wait for my book to come out, or you can email me or Facebook on the Facebook discussion, and we can talk about it more. I hope that you are as excited about this topic as I am.